So, what's been going on with PEN the last few months, and what will be going on with PEN the next few months? I sat down to record this video in which I answer that question. I've got hot chocolate and I've got mental notes. So it's probably best to start out by so the first few months of PEN running, like the first 5 or so months, went smoothly. A new video out every 2 weeks or so. Sometimes I took a bit more, sometimes I took a bit less. Then December came, and it took me a whole month to make one video. Then the same happened in January. Then it took me more than a month. Seasonal depression, I guess. Albeit, frankly, I think it might also largely have been due to Animal Crossing because of how that game just balloons out and consumes all of one's time. I'm telling you, be careful around that game. You really might want to consider Stardew Valley instead. You know, of course, that game has similar tendencies, albeit for my case, it's not been as severe. But yeah, I played Animal Crossing again for a bit during winter 2021-2022, which could largely explain why that happened. Then I released them on a pretty consistent basis for spring of 2022. Then I took a big break to record the part one redone. Then I gradually slogged through recording the audio for the final episode of part 5. Then I procrastinated doing the assets for ages. Then I lost one of the temporarily, like, one, there was part of some of the equipment I used to record that went away from months on end, meaning I literally couldn't record audio. But at least I got that video out, like, 3 months after part 1 redone. So that's a thing. And then it's like, I promised to have a new video out by the end of November, which became by the end of December, which became at some point during January, which has now become by the end of February. So, yeah, I only got the piece of tech back during December, so yeah, long story short, and I was kind of, the thing about Penny is it's like, I have that scripted, and I hate reading off a script, so recording that's been intimidating. So part of me has wondered if I even want to finish it, but I think I've had a recent passion rejuvenation in it, one of several that's happened since part 1 redone. And yeah, long story short, the other day I sat down to record, I sat down to record some of the next episode of Pen, finally forcing myself to do it, and long story short, I did it in about like an hour and a half, and it's done. Now I've also done some visual assets. I think I might want a couple more visual assets before I'm ready to edit the video. But if I knew that recording that audio would only take an hour and a half and planned everything out right, that video could easily have been out in been made in less than 24 hours. Which makes me very in a way very sad that I didn't get it out during January. As if that happened, then I would have. Then the January wave would have been everything that I set out to have it be. I releasing a fuck ton of stuff on Lucky Other Soapbox and getting out some new stuff, some new info on Caveman Land, and at least a pen episode. That was the bare minimum I set. So yeah. And there's something here's a reason that might still delay the next pen episode, and that delayed it out of January, being that there's a slight technical problem with the little basic asset of my character opening and closing its mouth. Don't look for it, you won't be able to unsee it, and I've been meaning to fix it for ages, and I finally located the assets, there's in the physical pieces of paper, so I refotoed them, and I had to do it a couple more times to get around various other problems, but now it's like, all I'd have to do is I'd have to put them into a video, and then I'd have it basically and then I basically put them together and animate them together again, edit them together as animation. That's basically what I'd have to do, and yeah, that would be fixed. But then there's a compromise solution I'd have to do because of something I didn't realize. And then it's also the case that, so would that even be better? Plus, also, procrastinating on this is delaying this till fuck. But on the other hand, I want to do it in between parts so that there's less headache with / weirdness, depending on which one is the lesser of the two evils, when I make this season episode for whatever part, for whatever part it happens, and I want it to happen in between parts, and this is the first episode of a new part 6, episode 1. In addition to that, I think having it be the old one for the first 5 parts, and then for part 6 should work well, because parts 1 through 5 kind of represents a whole era of the series. Like, it's like, those are the parts where everything is solely aquatic. is like if I was to break this series up into a couple distinct chunks, that'd be one of them. Like it's only a couple, not like 20 distinct chunks. So yeah. In addition, so yeah, that's basically that. But once that comes out, the rest of Part 6 could come out, well, quickly by the standard I've set over the last 6 fucking months. But it might be relatively slowly. Some of the episodes are long, and of course, prelims are not imminent, but they're coming up in just a couple months' time. So no matter how quickly they're coming out, it's going to be a disruption to everything. A big disruption. But yeah, so that's the whole thing. I mean, I'm almost done with uploading all the season episodes for all the existing parts. I was serious when I said that Part 2 was holding up the whole chain. As in, currently Part 5, the main thing in the way of uploading that, the season episode for that is, you see the little posters I have on the thumbnails. I'm struggling to do I'm doing the poster for Part 5 right now, and I'm struggling to do it, particularly the stuff in the reefs. I can't really remember that. I can only remember that very vaguely, and frankly, I'm wondering if I accidentally put some of that on the Part 4 poster. But yeah, that's the whole thing. But I should get that out eventually soon enough, and I'll get out something else, which is nothing new, but it's very mildly cool unless you're the person who asked for it. So yeah, that's gonna happen. But I've got it. But yeah, the season episodes have come out fairly quickly again. Editing the last 2 together has been it was like a 15-minute long job, just putting them all into one iMovie file, then getting rid of the outros and the intros, then doing a new outro. It took like 15 minutes each. I've actually had the Part 5 season episode on YouTube for quite a while now. It's just the thumbnail needs to be done. But yeah, I do want Part of PENH to finish. I mean, I meant to upload the next episode back in August, so at this point that's 6 fucking months ago. So this is gonna delay when everything in the series is coming out versus when it was initially planned to, unfortunately. But things happen when they happen. I have executive function disorder, so that's that. Things will probably come out on a more timely manner than what the 6 months have been from here on out. I plan to get through Part 6 and 7, Part 7 and 8 this year, by the end of this year, and it's like 2021. And the second half of that alone, I got for Parts 1, 2, and 3. And Part 2 and 3 are both fairly meaty parts. The whole of 2022, I got through just Parts 4 and 5, which were relatively small, but yeah, it's the whole thing. 2022's been a mess for this channel on the whole, eh? Maybe 2023 I do plan to be an up, but yeah, the whole, let me think. But Part 6 is a medium-sized part, Part 7 is a big part, and then Part 8's actually very small, like, almost smaller than Part 1. So, yeah, that's a whole thing. I plan to have the series finished sometime around 2025-ish. So, yeah, that's that whole plan, and I like making big overarching plans for years to come that are never going to fall through because of executive function disorder, and I'm doing that. And I guess there's nothing wrong with it, but, well, it falls through the floor, and it's like, well, there's nothing wrong with it, but, like, I feel like I'm spilling too much. I'm just trying to make it seem more official and formal, and like it's more has been done than has actually been done by laying out these big plans. But on the other hand, it's like, is there dark time? I don't know. At this point, I'm just rambling on and wasting time. So, goodbye. Hopefully this audio was bearable and legible.